Are the Ukrainian people pitiful? How did things come to this pass? Who is to blame for Ukraine's current predicament? The chief culprit is neither the US and Western countries nor Russia. The one who should bear the most responsibility is Ukraine itself. Now, when people mention Ukraine, many first react with sympathy for its misery. But looking back, this disaster was not an unforeseen calamity from heaven, but a pile minus up of a series of foolish moves, miscalculations, and self-minus deception. External forces certainly added fuel to the fire, yet if the country's leaders had made sober and prudent decisions, how could things have come to such a state? The most critical blunder occurred during the 2019 presidential election. By then, the political arena had long been hollowed out by oligarchs and old bureaucrats, corruption was rampant, and efficiency was abysmally low. The public was thoroughly fed up with this farce. Just then, Zelensky entered the scene as a political novice, rose to nationwide fame by virtue of servant of the people. And a single slogan of ending internal strife and eradicating corruption instantly ignited nationwide fantasies. People thought to themselves, the old faces are all rotten to the core, it's better to bet on a new person. Thus, 73% of the votes sent him to the presidential palace, yet they forgot that governing a country is not filming a TV drama. There is no redo button, let alone a stunt double. After taking office, his anti-minus corruption campaign was all thunder and little rain. Old bureaucrats remained in their posts untouched. The new team had no experience whatsoever, and government operations were nearly paralyzed. When war broke out, he did make frequent appearances on the international stage, connecting via video to weep and beg for weapons and sanctions. His acting skills were top minus notch. But when it came to overall war coordination, resource allocation, and stabilizing people's livelihoods, he was completely incompetent. Frontline soldiers fought on empty stomachs. Backline conscription offices could not even afford printing paper. Over 1 million eligible young people were not registered for military service, and they were forced to sustain a war of attrition purely on willpower. Who can be blamed for this? Blame the US for not giving enough guns, or blame Russia for being too ruthless? It is the state apparatus that has fallen apart from the root. The casualty figures are shocking. According to documents leaked from within Ukraine, the total number of killed, seriously wounded, and captured has exceeded 7 million more than the combined active minus duty military personnel of Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. Young people are almost wiped out, so the conscription age has been lowered to 17. Even the border guards tasked with stopping deserters have been transferred to the front lines to fill gaps. Behind every number is a broken family. Those voters who once shouted "Long live freedom and democracy" may now be clutching their sons' death notices and weeping silently in the ruins. Nearly 1/5 of territory has been lost. Once the second minus largest country in Europe by area, it has now shrunk to be even smaller than Spain. Luhansk is almost entirely lost, and most of Donetsk has fallen. Even the peace plan privately promoted by the US requires Ukraine to cede more land. Cities are in ruins with over 160. Zero civilian facilities reduced to rubble. Warnings about the cost of war were issued long ago, but no one listened back then. Everyone was immersed in the fantasy that joining NATO would guarantee absolute safety. The economy is even more riddled with holes. Per capita debt is approaching $7,000, and total external debt is nearly $200 billion. Based on current official revenue, it will take more than 30 years to repay. GDP has plummeted to less than half of its level 20 years ago. Factories have shut down production. To exchange for aid, Ukraine also signed a mineral resource agreement with the US, bundling and mortgaging rare earths, oil, gas, and other strategic resources ostensibly called cooperation, but in reality, it is handing over its lifeline to others. Clothing prices at street stores have multiplied several times over, yet wages have remained completely stagnant. More than 8 million people have fled abroad, among whom teenagers aged 16-18 account for over 30% of the total refugee population. The country's future is voting with its feet. More ironically, when clearing the battlefield nowadays, there are very few genuine Ukrainian soldiers. Most are foreign mercenaries. This war has long since become a chessboard for proxy confrontations, and Ukraine itself is nothing more than a pawn. In the final analysis, Ukraine's tragedy was not imposed on it, it was chosen with its own hands. It's elected a president for novelty alone, setting national policies based on emotion rather than competence, disregarding consequences to chase momentary satisfaction, believing promises based solely on how catchy slogans were without distinguishing truth from falsehood, ultimately dragging the entire nation into the abyss.